All right.
On the noise.
All right. I would like all the ways and means meeting to order. And unlike me, we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Heidi Nightingale. Present. Bob Shay.
Here.
Ben Vitale. Tom Winslow.
Here.
All right, appointments, there are none on this agenda tonight. I would like to get approval for the minutes of the special ways on the 13th, the 18th, and the regular ways meeting on the 18th.
I'll move the minutes, all of the above.
A second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. We do have now, I believe, 8 resolutions. Things have been getting added just because I think the timing of the meeting is so early in the month. So there have been things that have been added, but if we could start with, Dave, your report, if there's anything you want to highlight.
I want to highlight, does anybody have any questions?
No, any questions for the treasurer?
Actually, I know you mentioned that you're taking in the payment plans that are made by taxpayers. And I just wondered what kind of percentage of our taxpayers need to make payment plans?
I don't have an exact number for you. I can come back Thursday with the exact number, but it's quite substantial. It's I believe, I hate to say off the top of my head, but I think it's over 30%. I'll let you know on Thursday night.
Okay, thank you.
I did see, Dave, that you had put out in Teams, which I asked Amanda to sort of re-educate us of how to get into that, but you have been putting out the occupancy tax or the hotel tax document. And I think you've probably been putting it out for a while. I just have not known that. But what you put out was the finish of the third quarter.
Correct.
And that the occupancy tax looks like it's close to just under $1 million so far.
Right. I actually put that with every report that I do. I didn't realize until you brought to my attention the other day that it was going out on Teams and you weren't getting a copy of it.
Right.
So yeah, it's in everyone in the exact locations and the amount.
Yep. And the list that the county maintains, the registry the county maintains. Yep. So if you guys haven't seen it, it is out on Teams. And I think you also emailed it to us, I believe. Okay.
And if you ever need any specific information, just let me know and I'll get you a copy of everything.
Okay, thank you. Grace, well, you do have the first resolution. The rest of them, except the last one, belongs to Jenny. So if you want to highlight anything in your report for us before we get to your resolution?
The only thing I want to highlight, usually I put the sales tax on here because it's December. There are 4 payments, so I only have 1 payment in so far. But I can at least tell you that that payment compared to last year is up 2% over last year. So it's not down. That's good. That's not the 4% that we're hoping, but it is up. So, but that's why that you didn't get an update on the sales tax. And that usually won't happen for a while because of having the numbers for the accrual and all that now that we're at the end of the year.
Okay, and at some point you'll report what it was and how we did towards budget.
Correct.
Okay. The first resolution is authorizing the year-end accrual adjustments with 2025 operating budget. And I did speak with Grace this afternoon, and I know we talked about this last year in terms of this allows the finance director to the ability to make lines that go over. And that, you know, the procedure about sharing it or the legislature aware or making the chair and the Ways and Means director aware or chair aware. And Grace asked if we would get a motion to table this resolution to the January meeting, because I think, not putting words into your mouth, you want to get to absolute clear responsibility of what happens to those accounts and who you're responsible to report them to.
Correct. And really develop, you know, the proper protocol so that what's stated in the resolution is what we are doing.
Yep. And you'll research that, get more information, and we'll bring this resolution back in January.
Correct.
All right,
And Chair, which meeting do you want to bring it back to? Ways and Means or?
January ways.
January ways. Yeah.
January Ways? Okay.
Yep. So,
Are you pulling, I'm sorry, are you pulling it tonight and putting it on the January Ways and Means agenda?
or I was gonna table it to the January was, it doesn't matter. I can pull it because it may be worded differently.
Yes.
Yes, okay, I'll pull it and
Thank you.
it'll come back in January with the appropriate wording.
W1.
That's WM1.
Second, Nightingale, second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, Jenny, if you would like to just kind of, these are a lot of the year-end sort of resolutions. If you want to just kind of go through 2 to 7, then I can separate them out for questions or anything else anyone wants to do.
So WM2 is to levy taxes provided for in the adopted annual budgets for towns and fire districts in Cayuga County. So essentially the towns and fire districts and special districts all send their information to us. We compile it and it's here for you to approve so that we can extend the levy on those items. WM3 is directing the levy of tax against the city of Auburn for county purposes for 2026. So this is the apportioned part of the county tax that is for the city, as well as their college chargebacks, admitted tax, mail billing, and then this year we are charging them a portion of the cost for our online assessment services, where the public can see that information.
For matter of, can this be passed prior to the budget being passed or?
So it does reference the budget
Okay,
figures, so you probably want to do it after.
okay, but go ahead.
Because it would have to be amended if you passed a different budget now.
Yep.
WM4, authorizing the Director of Real Property Tax Services to extend the levy of taxes, establish rates for the same, and re-levy unpaid items. So essentially, this is giving me the authority to adopt the tax bills. WM5, levy return school tax and authorize county treasurer to pay the same. So any unpaid school taxes are turned over to us. We apply a re-levy fee, and that gets applied to the bills. That is mandated in state law that we do that. WM6.
Jenny, I mean, we
Yes.
make the schools whole.
We make the schools whole.
Yes.
Yep. WM6 is levy return village taxes and authorize the county treasurer to pay same. Again, the villages turn over unpaid taxes after the end of their collection period. And we would levy those onto the town and county tax and include a levy fee for that as well that the county retains. This is authorized with a local law. And WM7, levy unpaid water and sewer bills for several towns and Cayuga County Sewer and Water Authority. So similar to the other two towns, and the Water and Sewer Authority will turn over unpaid water and sewer charges to us. There is no re-levy fee applied, so it's just the unpaid amount that gets added to the tax bills. And we make those towns and the CCWSA whole.
Right, could anyone do the motion for 2 through 7?
We're not going to go around 3.
How about if I make a motion to table them until Thursday night,
Okay. 2 through, did you?
2 through 7? It doesn't, I mean, you can exclude one or whatever, but I think the whole group can just be tabled to Thursday night and pass them when we're done.
Okay. All right.
As long as you pass it.
As long as the budget passes, whenever the budget
As long as
passes
that's all
today
it
or.
is. Not to put them in trouble.
Yes, okay. Because the budget, yes, there is a resolution about the budget on the agenda tonight too. Okay, WMA, and this Diane asked to have that.
We have to,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're
fine.
Could we get a vote on tabling 2 through 7 until the budget passes?
could I ask a question on number 7 before we vote? I've been to a couple of towns and they tell me that they've been told by our real properties people that they can't send those water bills and things to the county anymore. And
So there was a period of time during COVID where I think it was an executive order that basically said they couldn't be re-levied during that time. That has been lifted. So anything can be re-levied now.
all right, well, thank you. That
Yeah.
explains it very well. Thank you.
I'm gonna guess that that's what they're thinking
Yep.
of, is back in that period, we weren't allowed to.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the table, 2 to 7?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. WMA, Diane, this is resolution you asked to put on late.
Right, this is to renew our software license that we use for our civil service side of applicants. So how people apply, how we track applications, approve applications, send applications out to the hiring managers. We check our positions, our employees, information is all through that too, along with our roster cards. So the current license is expiring at the end of the month. And so we're renewing it for 1 year. And I have worked with Tom. He does have that amount budgeted in his 2026 budget. So it's
Okay, this is your software.
just our software that we use. Yeah.
Can I get a motion for WMA?
I'm moving.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Heidi, Health and Human Services.
Are there any other reports from department heads, or are we all set?
Oh, I'm sorry. I always do that. Yes, I'm Jenny.
You have my report. If you have any questions?
Yes. Any questions for Jenny? And Diane, I'm sorry, I'm missing you too. Any questions?
I don't have anything to add if it wasn't.
Okay, the 39 positions are all authorized to be filled, but
Correct,
you're just working with departments to try to get them filled?
right.
It's a bigger number than it's been,
Yeah, there's
hasn't it?
we've had a little bit of an increase in sheriff's positions, public health with some of the new programs they have.
Okay, so they're
A
all,
couple of recent resignations.
okay. Okay, and Amanda,
I don't have any updates. I'm working on a lot of the same things that were reported just a couple weeks ago. The only other thing would be that I'm doing the end of the year PO report, so that's going to be sent out to all of our department and Munis users tomorrow for them to review any current open POs from previous years that were carried forward, as well as all their open POs for this year and any requests for them to carry forward so that we can review those and see if they will carry forward or not.
Thanks for keeping me online, Heidi.
Amanda, we had talked about as a group and did a resolution last month about, I think it's RFI versus
RFP, yeah.
regarding our county office building, and that's in the works and moving
Yep.
along.
So that's published. It's on our BidNet site. I did send it out to some local developers as well. And the opening for that is January 5th. So I believe my question deadline is next Friday, so they can submit any questions related to that. I have had a couple questions so far, so
Good, thank you very much.
of course.
Tom?
Yeah, Amanda, can I just have you briefly touch on, some of the RFPs or what you've done a little bit for the 911 backup center? Just coming to you this is coming from the head of the JPS committee, just to update the rest of the legislature and inform that, things are moving ahead and.
Oh, yeah, as like in regards to the relocation so we did do it wasn't a formal RFP because the amount would be under 75,000, but for the design work at the new space at the Auburn Fire Department, I sent out a quote request to 12 different architects and engineering firms. And we received those back and we reviewed them. We have selected Beardsley to move forward with our design. Today we had a design meeting. We've done 2 site walks there to make sure that they really understand our scope with campus as well as IT. And then today we all met as a team to go over what is needed for the space so that they can develop that. Motorola was there so that they were able to identify what their proposal says towards the movement. We also have done the work in the basement to get the area with the 911 area clean so that we can enter and exit and take things out is done. So that has been finished. So all the equipment within the designated area has been cleaned, decontaminated, and we're able to go in and out without any protective wear. And we can move equipment so that when we do have the design ready, we can just move things right over there to speed up the process. Trying to think what else we've done.
That sounds
Moving along.
just, as informational to everybody else that it's moving along. We're making great progress. And as far as the deadline of April, I think we're still well on course for.
Yeah, we're on target. We're on target. So today, the timeline that we established, I'd like to go out to bid for, it'll be the furniture, it'll be the flooring that's needed in there. There's a mini split unit that's needed in there to create cooling for the space. As well as a few other things for IT and everything that was included. We're under budget right now for everything. And we're looking to go out to bid for the actual work on the space in mid-January.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we established before that that really is the priority, to get the 911 equipment moved, the data center, all of that. And then is there work going to be done on building content? I mean,
So right now, we're working on a few different things. One of the things is getting the copiers out because we're paying on those. So I am getting a proposal for the removal of those items. We've done some testing to help with that and working with Lozier. And so I should have a proposal on that next week for the removal of copiers as well as some priority equipment that's within the space as well. And then after that stuff comes out of there, they can look at other, items for removal, so.
in the copiers, so we can use them, we can return them? I mean,
They're gonna be going back to Toshiba. Right now, we're paying on the copiers that are in there.
That we're not
The
using,
copiers
right.
that are in the space, so I
okay.
can't, Tom could talk to that more
Mhm.
on
Yep.
what that looks like, but yes, that's also being worked on as well.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
What you've stated is a great level of progress and around that area of the county office building. And I think our public is not aware of that. I'm wondering if within, you know, the third floor administration at 2 State Street, if there's anybody who takes responsibility for press releases, because that would be a very informative press release for our public. I know that at least I am getting these questions, and it's very much a matter of chatter on the socials and in newspaper letters to the editor. And so I think it would be everyone's advantage, both our public and all of us who've been working to get a press release out. I don't know on whose desk that would land, but I would recommend that.
Yeah, I know within the group, I think the only one authorized to do their own press release would be the chair. Otherwise, whatever one of our group members did would go through the chair for approval for that policy.
Like, I notice our chair is here, so I'm just recommending a press release that would be very helpful for settling down some of the chatter.
Okay. Anything else before we move on to Health and Human Services? Okay, Heidi?
Okay, Madam Chair, Health and Human Services has 13 resolutions. The 13th, HH 13 was added after HHS. We have time to get that fully on the calendar and agreed to discuss it and work through it tonight at Ways and Means. HH 1 is an authorization to amend Resolution 34925 in the Public Health Department to enter a contract with the Cicirelli Wildlife Solutions. And this is because there was some typos and mistakes around just their fee structure. So the only thing that's being amended is the structure. Nothing else is happening with bringing them on as a contractor.
I move HH1. And a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Chair, I would like to bundle HH2, HH4, HH5, HH7, HH8, HH11, and HH13. Each of these resolutions, and I can go through them individually, are contracting with services. Many of them are annual recontracts. For instance, HH2 is working with East Hill Medical Center to provide mandated health services for STD. HH4 is entering into a contract with Finger Lakes Wildlife. This is again regarding our rabies program and a contractor who will help us with the movement needed for staying on top of the rabies program and grant. HH5 is a contract with the Board of Health, and this was approved for approved hearing officers to conduct administrative hearings for the County Board of Health. This is something that's required by the Board of Health. HH7 is contracting within for our Department of Technology to work with the Public Health Director around the provision of some IT services. And HH8 entering into a contract with our local SPCA of Central New York to provide the rabies vaccination clinics. They'll be providing 3 of them. And then HH11 is, actually, this is accepting funds so that we can sign contracts with human service agencies for services to individuals with disabilities. This is money that comes from the state, flows through the Community Services Board and goes out to these other services. And again, annual contracting. The added HH13 is an establishment of a contract with an independent psychiatrist to cover mandated services. This psychiatrist would cover the services of court-ordered psychiatric evaluations. So this is a contract, might sound like a fill, but again, it's mandated that there's a psychiatrist who does these evaluations, and we are in need of this psychiatrist now. Changes with those are what those contracts are about.
I'll make a motion to bundle 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 11, and 13.
I'll second the bundle.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'd like to bundle HH3 and HH12. These are authorizations to fill. HH3 is within the Public Health Department, and it is an authorization to fill either a senior public health sanitarian through the HELP program or a sanitarium also through the HELP program. The resolution is written in such a way that this allows us a broader catch field for applicants in that area. And then HH12 is authorizing us to fill a full-time home health care manager at the mental health center, and this is due to a termination. Both of these are in the current budget, 2026 budget as well.
You're asking for motion for 3 and 12, Heidi?
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to look at HH9 now. This is accepting funding. This is through social services, and this is to amend their 2025 budget to accept funding for the shelter arrears eviction forestallment program, SAFE, which allows eligible individuals to have rent arrears paid so that they can stay without eviction in their homes while they get things together so that they can move on with their independent payment of rent. It is 100% paid by the state. It's pretty large, and we see this every year, or we started to see this recently through the state. Can't remember offhand. I think it's about a $300,000 grant. So it's a resolution to accept that funding.
And that was what number, Heidi?
9,
Okay.
just need a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
HH10 is, it comes from our Youth Bureau, and it is authorizing us to terminate an agreement with the Southern Cayuga Future Farmers of America and authorizing the chair and the director of the Youth Bureau to enter into a superseding agreement with Growing Hope Cayuga. This was, Growing Hope Cayuga is a program that we reviewed as a Youth Bureau Advisory Board. And what has happened is that the Southern Cayuga District and the youth involved in FFA are no longer able to move the project forward. But Growing Hope Cayuga is able to with a plan for sustainability. So there's no change in mission. There's no change in finances. It's a moving from one agency to another. The FFA of Southern Cayuga will stay involved as participants. They just cannot be the lead person.
I'll move it. I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And Heidi, I think HH6 was left.
Yeah.
Correct. HH6 is an agreement, and this is authorizing the public health director to enter into intermunicipal agreement with Onondaga County for the provision of tuberculosis control program. We have the funds to transfer to them and work with them. They have the infrastructure and the medical services available to do this for us. So it allows us to move the testing and results to Onondaga County for our assistance in our ability to move the program forward, manage the program.
Patients, yep.
I'm moving HH6.
Second? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, government operations, authorizing the clerk to retain the necessary expense of mortgage tax clerk. Actually, I'm going to make a motion to table this resolution until the 11th. There is information that I have been made aware of that when we initially passed this resolution saying that the amount would change to 226,000 or whatever dollar amount was in the resolution, that was predicated on a staffing pattern that currently is in the tentative budget. And until we get all that sorted out, how much staff there'll be and what this amount should be, I'd rather just table this to Thursday.
Make a motion for the table.
Okay, any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, okay, GO2 approved the revised SUNY capital request plan resolution. As a sponsoring county, we have to take this action on their capital plan requests. And Kelly was at the meeting to discuss this. And if there's no further questions, I'd ask for a motion to approve GO2.
Move it.
Nightingale, second.
Any questions? Kelly is available. If not,
Yep, I'm here. Thank you.
yep. Any questions for Kelly?
I just have a comment, Madam Chair. These particular capital request plan resolution is actually going to be, you know, we know that the college has 2 locations. These monies actually are being looked at for infrastructure improvement here at the Auburn CCC campus.
It could actually be either at any of the our campuses, honestly. It's just so that we don't have to pull from our operating fund. So this will help
Right.
alleviate some of that stress on our operating.
I guess I'm speaking out of school, as they say. I know in the trustee meeting, we talked about the kind of moving this money more toward what should happen at the Auburn campus.
Right.
A little bit of talking out of school,
No, that's
but it was an executive session, so.
All right. We have a motion and a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, designating December 11th as the date to annex the tax warrant. It's based on the budget passing and okay? Can I get do we want to table this? Do I want to?
I'll make the motion table. It'll be 11th.
We'll table this till the budget passes.
Yep.
Can we get a second for the table?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. GO4 designating newspapers to publish Cayuga County matters. I don't think that has changed in years.
Nightingale. Move it.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
GO5, adopting the Cayuga County artificial intelligence policy. Tom did answer some questions at the GO meeting, and this will be a policy and some training that will be given to all county staff. Can I get a second?
Nightingale.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Fix the time and date in place to organize the Cayuga County Legislature for 2026. It's January 2nd at 4 p.m. if I remember correctly. And
Yes.
take a motion for that.
I'll move it.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and GO7 was added, and that is amending the Cayuga County Capital Asset Policy. We all did get a copy of it. But if you'd like to say a few words about that, Grace, this is.
Sure. So what this policy, so the prior policy really talked about capital assets and trackable assets. So what this is doing is really just pulling out and creating a resolution strictly for the capital assets. Because those are specific to financial reporting. I'm going to be working with the operations officer. We're going to develop a policy for trackable assets. So those will still be managed, but this is strictly just the accounting of capital assets. So that's what this policy is developing guidelines and thresholds for assets that we will be capitalizing that will have to be, or are required to be reported in our financial reports.
Okay, and I see there it's land improvements, buildings.
Yes,
Those are-
that's always been, we did have our auditors review our thresholds. They are within OSC guidelines as well as the policy is within GASB guidelines, so.
And this policy needs to be there for auditing purposes as well.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Can I get a motion for amending the Cayuga County Capital Asset Policy?
I'll move it.
Thank you, second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. Planning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Planning has 10 resolutions. I'll entertain bundle if anyone would like. PL 1, authorizing contract execution with the Oswego County Soil and Water Conservation District for the transfer of EEC funding of Finger Lakes Lake Ontario Watershed Protection Alliance to Cayuga County. State fiscal years 2025 to 2026 funding,
You want me to move that or you want to go?
whatever you would.
If you want to go through a few and then we'll set, whatever, however you want.
I'll go through.
Okay, all right.
Please. PL 2, authorizing the 1-year extension of the service agreement between MXI Environmental LLC and Cayuga County. PL 3, authorizing the filing of applications for state assistance on the Household Hazardous Waste State Assistance Program and signing of the associated state contracts. PL 4, authorizing the submission of a municipal zero emissions vehicle infrastructure grant application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Chance management bid number ZEVCV 25. PL 5, resolution to designate an authorized representative and grants match for EPG 2284. PL 6, authorizing to accept a donation from Friends of Sterling Nature Center for capital improvements. PL 7, authorizing the contract with replacement of lighting at the Emerson Park Pavilion. PL 8, authorizing to transfer funds to a reserve account. PL 9, authorizing the installation of hardware on the Emerson Park Pavilion emergency exit doors. And PL 10, authorizing the purchase of a salter for the Parks and Trails Department.
Can you get a motion for PL 1 for PL 10 and unless anyone wants them separated out?
So you made the motion, second.
Okay, good. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Public Works then?
Oh, sure. So Public Works has 2 resolutions. Only one was brought at committee. So look for a motion for PW 1, which is authorizing the superintendent accept support and maintenance agreement with Novo Solutions. And this is for the maintenance and cloud house, software services utilized by the highway department.
I'll move PW 1.
Thank you, second.
All in favor?
Aye. PW 2 was left off committee meeting. Was agreed to bring it here by myself and the chair of Ways and Means, and it's amending county budget for work to be done in the court building, historic post office. This is tenant work and it's 100% reimbursable by New York State.
I'll move that.
Thank you.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Tom?
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. JPS has a total of 4 resolutions. JP2 was tabled to January, so I'll offer up one at a time here. JP1, authorizing the purchase of batteries from Eaton Corporation for the uninterruptible power supply in the primary 911 center.
Move it.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye. And JP3, authorize the sheriff's office to purchase one 2026 Ski-Doo snowmobile.
Move it.
Second? Questions? All in favor?
Aye. And
Opposed.
lastly, JP4, authorize the chair of the Cayuga County Legislature and the Cayuga County Sheriff to enter into a 5-year contract with Johnson Controls for preventative maintenance, testing, and service for the fire control system at the Public Safety Building.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? Okay. Right. There's no further business. Entertain motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. I don't vote. Okay, yes.
Are you speaking? I even told my seniors, I mean, I can't make the seniors come out.
Ben Vitale,
Present.
Two screens?
Tom Wenzel,
Here.
Bob Shay,
Here.
McNabb Coleman,
Present.
Hans Petcher,
Here.
Mark Strong,
Here.
Heidi Nightingale,
Present.
Elaine Daly,
Here.
Amy Sargent,
Here.
Brian Boldrow,
Here.
Jonathan Anna.
Present, please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you remain standing for a moment? Please be seated. Good evening. This evening we are gathered here at the public hearing. Regarding 726. The phone number, if you'd like to speak to the public hearing, is 315-294-8051. That's 315-294-8051. If you wish to speak. With that said, prior to having folks up to comment, and I do have a list here. We do have some correspondence, so I'll ask the clerk of the legislature.
I'm reading this on behalf of the Cayuga County Farm Bureau, Chairman Anna, and members of the Cayuga County Legislature. My name is Tad Patterson. I'm a dairy farmer from the town of Aurelius and serve as president of the Cayuga County Farm Bureau, largest farm organization in the county representing 273 member families. I am here this evening to express our organization's opposition to the proposed 12.5% county property tax. In the most recent agricultural census in 2022, Cayuga County has 222,766 acres of productive farmland, down almost 25 acres since the last census in 2017. That generates nearly 462 million in gross sales of agricultural products. Our leading sector is the dairy industry, which is currently going through an expansion due to the increase in processing capacity. Locally, Cayuga Milk Ingredients is going through such an expansion. To put this in perspective, this means that our dairy farms are investing in their business to meet the increasing demand for dairy products. We also boast a significant production of vegetables, grapes, wine, livestock, and horticultural farms. Cayuga County is the largest agricultural county in New York State. Farmers traditionally invest in their farms when they feel there is a market certainty. While farmers are used to the fluctuations in production brought on by changing weather climate, they do not anticipate increases in the cost of production that this tax increase would have on them. It is true the agricultural assessment program does provide some relief in the property taxes that they pay. However, the agricultural assessment only reduces the assessed value of farmland. It does not shield farms from tax rate increases. When rates raised by 12.5%, taxes rise by 12.5% on every eligible acre, regardless of the assessment. This effect is magnified because many Cayuga County farms operate on several thousand acres. Even a modest rate increase becomes a major cost at such a large land base, and these increases cannot be avoided or delayed. Farmland is not a burden on taxpayers. According to the American Farmland Trust, for every $1 a farmer spends on property tax, they receive 37 cents in services. For every dollar a residential homeowner pays in tax, they receive $1.16 in services. Clearly, farmland is a bargain for local towns, school districts, and the county. Our farmers are the largest landowners in the county. By increasing the property tax by 12.5%, we're putting unattainable burden on our farmers, which will force them to rethink future investments in their farms. This tax increase would shift cost onto the land use that contributes the most to the county's economy, while demanding the least in services. That is not sustainable fiscal approach. Over time, it puts county revenue at risk by weakening one of the strongest economic engines. When holding farmland becomes too expensive, pressure builds to sell or convert the land to non-agricultural use. Once farmland leaves production, it does not come back. Losing productive acres weakens the county's economy base, reduces future tax stability, and changes the character of our rural communities. A smaller, more balanced adjustment would protect the county's strongest economic sector,
maintain investment in local farms, and preserve the productive land that supports the county and community stability. Throughout Cayuga County, on behalf of the farmers of Cayuga County, I urge you to rethink this large increase and consider a more modest.
At this time, I'm gonna start the public hearing, public comment portion, the list. If you're here tonight, yes, I'll go back to, anybody who has things to say. Mr. Hayden, are you?
Good evening, Chair.
We try to limit our comments to about 3 minutes. About 3 minutes if you could.
3 minutes. I'll cut it down from 30 then. Good evening. I'm Chad Hayden. I live over in Cayuga and been there for 30-some years. And when I found out that you were going to add a vehicle increase tax, it's not that it affects me so much, but it affects some tenants. And these tenants are young people who barely can afford, they have cars that they're paying as much for their monthly car costs as they are for rent, for God's sake. And it's not that they have high-end cars, it's just the cars are so expensive, yet they have to have them to transport themselves around the community. Because we're basically kind of an agricultural county, aren't we? And there's little or no in the way of public transit. So you gotta have a car. So that means you're gonna have to have all the expenses associated with the car. You've checked your insurance costs over the last year. I think you'll be surprised at how much they've gone up, your car insurance. Fuel right now, it's not so bad. It's this afternoon I paid $2.75 at the Circle K. That's not too bad, but it wasn't more than a week or so ago, it was $3.15. And you know how it bounces around. So these young people have to pay the high-end gas. That's just what it costs today. And to maintain a property, to maintain this automobile, I just wish you wouldn't do it because it hurts the people who are most fragile. Thank you.
Daryl.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here on behalf of residents of Aurora. You don't see them, but there's about 250 behind them. But one of them is in agreement with what I'm saying tonight. And in my previous life, I went through 16 county budgets. And I know they're not easy and there's give and take, which is understandable in a negotiating process like that. But one of the factors in this budget that really strikes our community, all of it in Cayuga County, was the resolution or the move to take away 2 positions for the Cayuga County Planning Office. And I can only speak, well, I can speak on behalf of the county, but in Aurora, as you may know, following some of the headlines, we went through about a year-long, very contentious zoning process. And we probably wouldn't have gotten through it without the Cayuga County Planning Office. It was a huge process that had never really been done correctly before. The second year of my term, we got into short-term rentals, which if any of you that have been involved with that, you really don't want to be involved with that. Again, Carrie and Evan guided us through that process. We then, along the way, entered into a contract with Cayuga County Planning to work with us, the Village of Union Springs and the Village of Cayuga, on a multi-village downtown revitalization initiative project, DRI. They had previously done this for Moravia. Now they were entering into it with 3 villages, and it's never been done before. And according to our contacts at New York State, it will never be done again because it was a very difficult process to try and get 3 together to work. We did it, but it was Cayuga County Planning that guided us through it. And we're very grateful for that. Also, as we approached the 3rd year, Wells College closed. which was like hitting that village with a sledgehammer. The village dropped by over half the population Monday morning, April 29th. We got a call that day from then Chair Aileen McNabb Bowling. She offered all the support from the county. The only other two people that called from the county at that point were Carrie and Ellen. And that support was really well received, very well received. So to wrap up, this is what this particular department does. There was a resolution earlier, which I would really urge you to reconsider, and that was to restore 91,000 for one position from the economic development budget of 150,000. I think for a proven entity like this, it would be money very well spent. And I will finish with a quote from one of our contacts in the Department of State in New York. And she told me, Jim, that county planning office is the gold standard of New York State for county planning offices. Thank you.
No.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Mike Miller. I'm the director for the Cayuga County IDA. I'm here this evening to share my strong support for the county planning department and my opposition for the proposed funding cut to that. The department itself has and remains one of our most critical departments serving our community and our economic development efforts. Their work ranges from assisting and advising our towns and our villages, their planning, zoning, comprehensive plans, amongst several other activities, including grant writing, technical assistance, mapping, and the promotion of our businesses, large and small. Some of the most recent notable work and achievements: the countywide strategic plan, last done in 1969. They were awarded $103,000 to complete this effort. The countywide brownfield opportunity area inventory and analysis, they were awarded $160,000 to complete this project. The pursuit of the countywide housing market study was recently announced over the last week of being awarded over $100,000. These three plans together will be instrumental in shaping our future here. One of the other items noted here is the successful awards for the Village of Moravia, $2.2 million. Your award, as Mayor made reference to Union Springs, Cayuga, and Aurora, $10 million for the DRI. They're also actively pursuing this for at least one other village, and I'm sure others. Their work, like so many other departments that serves the county, is not always widely known by the general public. That said, our municipal leaders in this room and throughout the county surely can attest to the assistance that the department has done, their advancement of ensuring that the communities are able to take advantage of what they can provide. What some of you may not know is the Aurelius IDA Park, in earlier efforts to attract Cayuga milk ingredients, was not done by the IDA alone, but through the county planning department audits. There would not be the park nor CMI and many of its other key tenants without the work born from the planning department. That work continues to this day.
30 more seconds.
And I routinely consult with them on important initiatives, including site development, housing, redevelopment, Wells College, former Emily Holland School. My other economic colleagues would attest the same. I've been honored to work and learn from them, and I'm sure all of you that have interacted with them could say the same. The absence of further funding to their department will be severely detrimental to our municipalities that rely on them and our economic partners across the state. And while I do sympathize with the tough condition the county is in, I strongly urge you to reconsider cuts to this department. Thank you.
Nancy Taylor.
My name is Nancy Taylor. I've been a resident of Wasco for over 50 years, and I do a lot of volunteer. I understand what it is to budget. I'm well into my 80s and I live on a fixed income. I understand budgeting. However, I am worried about the Ward O'Hara Museum. The volunteer work I do here in Skaneateles, I meet people from all over the country that come here. We are a destination now. People love our area, they love our way of life, they love our lakes, they love our farmland, whatever. And all of those people that come spend money here. And I hate to see things like the Ward O'Hara Museum not be open as much because we don't have the money to pay people. And I also live near several rental properties, and our rental properties are being booked in advance, almost 2 years in advance now. They are in such demand. So please, please consider tourism and what the Ward O'Hara Museum is bringing to our community. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nathaniel Rogers. As some of you may know me, I am one of the people being cut in this budget. I work for the Cayuga County Planning Department, and I fully understand it's a tough budget year for everyone. When I first started at Cayuga County about 1.5 years ago, the Cayuga County Planning Department had 9 staff members. With the proposed budget, it would go down to 5 people. It's almost half of its staff being lost. We do incredibly important work. We support economic development for communities across Cayuga County, and we are important for the economic success of Cayuga County. I'm just going to do the numbers for my own position. I know there are 2 staff members we're losing, and there's a lot of people losing their positions. I personally make $64,800 a year. I have personally brought in grants worth $48,000 last year. Also, a large proportion of the work I do is covered by grants. I am the person staffing the countywide BOA project, which is largely my salary is grant funded. And I also am doing work on the county strategic plan, which is grant funded. I understand with health insurance, there are additional costs in my position. But net, comparing what I bring in and what I cost, in direct funding, I only cost Cayuga County a couple $1,000s a year. I also personally am one of 2 people, the 2 people being cut, who are applying for the next round of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative in the Village of Weedsport. Part of how we've succeeded as a county is getting these awards and getting money into our community to improve the tax bases of our neighborhoods. $10 million for Aurora, Union Springs, and Cayuga. $4.5 million in economic development in Moravia for a New York Forward Award. And we're currently applying for a $10 million grant for the Village of Weedsport. This is getting vacant properties back on the tax roll and improving the tax base in our county. And the countywide growth program, which I administer, is also a program that will be bringing back properties onto the tax roll, properties that have been on the foreclosure list for years. We do a lot of vitally important work supporting our tax base, supporting economic development.
30 more seconds.
And if you continue these cuts, which I understand it's a tough budget, we have to make cuts. The people who are left are going to have to focus more on mandated work. Things like the Cayuga County GML 239 committee, which doesn't work referring projects, but doesn't bring in revenue. The people who remain will have to focus on work that is required by New York State and doesn't bring in revenue. Essentially, by cutting these positions, there's a very real risk that long-term revenue will decline from the planning department and costs will increase. Thank you. Sorry. I fully understand everyone's in a tough position and I get it. A lot of departments are being cut. But if these cuts continue, we're not going to have opportunities to bring in grants. We're not going to be able to do the type of grant writing work that supports the other departments, that brings in money to this county, the sort of economic development that supports our tax base. And it's going to be a rougher budget season next year because of the cuts and losing over, since I started, a year and a half, almost half of the Cayuga County Planning Department due to continuous budget cuts. I thank you for your consideration, all the funding for all the departments in Cayuga County. I know I'm biased, I'm one of the people being cut, but I hope you consider restoring some of the positions that are being cut in the Cayuga County Planning Department. And even if you don't restore this year, consider what effects it will have of continuously cutting year after year when next year, there's not going to be as many chances to bring in these grants, to bring in economic development funding because it's just not going to have staff, not going to have capacity to do that. Thank you.
Carol, second.
Hello, I'm Carol Supkis and I'm with the Owasco Watershed Lake Association, or AWLA. And I just want to talk again, like everyone else apparently, about the planning department because they help us as well. They have a water quality specialist that has filled out many grant forms, gotten many grants for us to do some of our work as far as monitoring lake water, et cetera. And I understand that the cuts will hit in this area too. And I just want to say, you know, the lake's in trouble. It's the drinking water source for over almost 50,000 people. And it's vital to the area's economic well-being, but it's in trouble with increasing hazardous, harmful algal bloom activity. And our county programs are so important to protect the lake. I understand about the cuts coming. I don't envy any of you and the work you're doing. Thank you for doing the hard work. But I don't think clean and healthy drinking water is really an option for us. It's just safe drinking water is way too important. And I want you to please reconsider. Staff there is one person, from what I understand, and one person kind of learning the ropes to take over. Very forward thinking. We need to be forward thinking because if our water starts really getting to be unhealthy, drinking water will be in a lot of trouble in the very near future. So thank you very much. And please keep drinking water in mind. Thank you.
Julie Lockhart.
Hello, I'm Julie Lockhart. I'm also with AWLA, and I didn't know I was going to speak until I showed up today, which is what happened to me when I moved here. And the one and only other time I've spoken in front of you guys was when I came to speak up for a second watershed inspector for the county. I live about half a mile down the road. I've been walking along the shoreline and I saw this weird stuff in the water. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was bad. And I had one of those watershed moments when I said, I have to do something about this. And that's why I ended up at the office building and coming into you guys and standing up and saying, hey, I'm a new resident in this area. We have this amazing resource. It's in trouble. What are you doing about it? And I'm back again tonight. I've been active with AWLA for over 10 years now. I'm still on the board and I have learned a bunch of stuff, some of which is how complex not only the ecosystem of a lake is, but how complex the oversight of that lake is. And over the 10 or 12 years I've been watching all this, the Department of Environmental Conservation does one thing and then they change the program and then they do something else. And now they're doing it this way, now they're doing it that way. where's the continuity? How are you gonna see what's happening with the lake's condition and its health? If you don't have some basic continuous ways of monitoring it. And that's where I think the county has come in, the Office of Planning and Development. Steady influence, eyes that are close to our lake. They're not in Albany, they're here. And drinking water is foundational. It's one of those things you don't bother to think about until you don't have it. And then you really, really need it. So I just want to point out that this might be a short-term gain, but it could be a very long-term loss. It's a complicated situation with lake water quality, and I think we need to keep somebody here in Cayuga County with an eye on it. Thanks.
So the phone number, if you'd like to call in, is 315-294-8051. If you wish to speak in a public hearing for 2026 on target against 315-294-8051. If you wish to speak to the public hearing. Is there anyone else in the audience today?
Honorable Chair, I would like to sponsor Mr. Michael Kumi for privilege of the floor.
Yes, sir.
I'm here again today to speak about the proposed budget. Sure, unlike the majority of people, I'm in agreement with the 12.5% increase of taxes. It was an estimate for Almer living in District 8 for $133 divided out for a year. That's less than a medium Whopper meal per month. I wish that decisions like that were made sooner so that we didn't have to have something like 12.5 increase, but what I primarily wanted to talk about is budget cuts. When it comes to DSS, number of currently vacant positions that are being cut, if you count 2 part-time people as 1 full-time position, is exactly equal to the number of funded positions that are being cut. DSS is one of those departments that is not going to bring grants. It's not going to be something that makes money, but it provides a service that is more valuable than something like grants or money could ever be. It is the safety of our community. It is the safety of our children, the people that are going to fill these chairs later on in life and hopefully make better decisions than legislatures in the past have. I truly hope that when it comes to deciding on this budget, when it comes to making the hard choices to effectively save this county, get it out of the hole that it finds itself in today, that each and every one of you can make that hard choice to do what is necessary, to do what is right for every single community that makes up Cayuga County. It's never going to be easy to tell people that during such hard times, the cost of living is out of control and everything seems just be getting worse, that we need to keep increasing things. I'm truly afraid that we won't have a county if we don't do it, if we don't start making these better choices. Just the other day, I heard about how there's going to be a $12 billion bailout for farms all across the US. This is because of the tariffs that were imposed that caused such deficits with these farms. It feels like 2008 all over again, except unlike the banks being bailed out, it's more than 10 times the amount this time and beating these farms. So I just hope that every single one of you can think about why this is not only necessary, but why more actions like this need to be taken in the future. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to be heard regarding the 2026 budget? Just state your name for that.
Evan Wise. Resident Senate. What I'm hearing about is your tax you want to put on people's vehicles and the registrations. I personally own 7 vehicles on the road. You got a lot of people that are plastic car owners. They have tractors, trucks, trailers. And if you're gonna do this to us, what's gonna keep us from going to another state and registering our vehicles, just drive back here? Can you answer me that? Why do you need the money? Why are you gonna hit people like me? I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income, just like anybody else, but I like my street rods and my hot rods. And you wanna hit me more money for that. I'm getting taxed to death on my property. Everything you do, you get taxed to death. I got a question for you, Saul. You took Marine Midland Bank, somebody here had something to do with it. You're paying $29,000 a month. How much was the bank that was in there paying for that same spot? All right. Now you got, plus how much did it cost to revamp that? How much did the taxpayers pay for that too? To put in position for you guys. I understand your buildings in shambles because somebody didn't do their job there maintenance wise. Okay, now I just heard that you guys rented the car building. $12,000 a month for something going in there. And the people that moved out was paying $1,700 a month. 12,000 to 1,700. What's wrong with that picture? Why weren't any of these buildings had to put a thing out to them? You got many malls and stuff that are empty that you could have put all these businesses in. Any one of them malls and the buses go to every one of them. Any one of them malls you could have got a deal with. Nobody did it. Nobody was smart enough to do it. When are you gonna start smartening up? If you're only gonna do half the job, maybe you should only get half the pay. Right or wrong. Do your jobs. Do what you're elected to do. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
What else? Any legislators? Any for comment tonight? Open the floor to any amendments to the budget, discussion of the budget. Thank you.
Of order, Chair. Want any type of order?
Any legislator? Like, Joe, you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, before we start, I'll let you throw property. This is not. That.
So do you want to take the what we want me to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna propose a amendment to the budget, but.
Okay.
You do the-
So in the current budget, there is a 1.0 reduction of a senior GIS specialist. We currently have 2 senior GIS specialists. And I know a 1 reduction doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a mandated service that they are providing. We are required to maintain the tax map, which right now we get over 2,000 deeds filed a year that those tax mappers have to review every single deed, map out the legal descriptions, make sure that the ownership is updated accurately on those properties, and we communicate that out to all the assessors. So it would essentially, by reducing one of them, double the workload on the other person. These are highly specialized positions. Not only do they have to have mapping skills, but they also have to have the ability to read deeds and legal descriptions. So it is highly specialized. More new coming in, it's a lot of training. It's years of training before they're really up to speed. So what I'm proposing is I have found revenue that was not recognized in the budget previously that would offset restoring a 0.6 of that position, which I have had one of the employees say that they would be willing to go to 0.6, and that would help us still be able to manage the workload. My concern is if you do reduce one of them, that even if we were able to keep up for a little while, we would end up burning out the person that was there. Doubling the workload is too much to maintain.
Brian, why don't we do this? Why don't you make the, why don't you give us your amendment and then we'll put it on the floor. If we get a first and a second, go from there.
Okay.
So the amendment is to, she spoke briefly about the revenue, but 0.6, what's the title of the person?
Senior GIS specialist.
Senior GS specialist, so that's proposed.
But.
What's the resolution?
I do.
What's your, so what are we asking you? Yes, is what I said, Brian, what's your motion?
Well, I want her to do it because because she's,
So the motion is to restore in expenditure for the senior GIS specialist, a total of $51,370, which is comprised of the following lines, which can be found on page 18 of your budget books.
I think that's.
Okay.
So
You're gonna go over salary and fringe in this issue?
Yeah, I can go over
Yes.
that part. So that would be A13551 5100 FT salary, 33,697. The FICA would be on, still on page 18, A11355158001. That's the FICA. Retirement would be A11355158002 retirement. And then health insurance would be in that same category with the dental. So that's what fringe benefits. So the point is that if we brought this to a part-time, that person who is now losing their position wouldn't have any benefits. So we go to 0.6 to give them those benefits.
So your motion is to restore. Where are you getting the revenue from?
So-
Because you gotta need the other side of the line for the.
So the revenue's coming from,
And we'll get a discussion.
An increase of pilot revenue.
yeah,
which is-
A1, sorry,
Sorry.
I have to do it. The pilot revenue is A132250-41081 on page 21, that's 38,000. That's an increase in revenue for 428,125 to 166,433. Increase in the title, do you want to go to that part through the title search of 10,000 on page 21, and that's found in section A11325041253. And that increased the revenue from $25,000 to $35,000. And the other one is increased assessment of A13550 to 415 on page 18 of $3,100, increasing the revenue from 56,500 to 56,631. So the total additional revenue would be 51,408, which would pay for an extra expenditure of $38, which will pay for that position at 0.5 with fringe benefits. 0.6. 0.6, sorry.
So we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? First and a second.
Now you got second.
Now we can have discussion on the motion.
I guess I have a couple questions for Jenny. Obviously, you're not asking to take it from another line in the budget. This is all
This
from
is-
with you're in your own department. But why, can you give us an idea of why all of a sudden you found this revenue?
So two of the lines are actually in the treasurer's budget. So one of them is a pilot revenue. So the budget currently just has the IDA projected pilot revenue, but we have non-IDA pilot revenue as well. So I do have out an itemized list of those non-pilot revenue items. Solar pilots, we have 4 different solar pilot agreements that are outside of the IDA. That totals, with all 4 combined, $33,349. We have pilot agreements for low-income housing projects. There are 3 of those, one in the town of Mentz, one in Port Byron and, oh, that is nice. And then also, Malone Village, Brogan Manor. So total of all three of those is $4,459. And then annually, we also, receive a revenue share from the Department of Interior for, Fish and Wildlife that also gets recorded to pilot 500. So that's the additional 38,308 that wasn't initially reported in the budget for that.
So when you looked at it closer, you realized this is, I mean.
So essentially, the pilot revenue is I think Lynn put that in based on what IDA sent.
Okay.
We have to get a better sense of tracking that type of stuff. When I was in the treasurer's office, I know I kept close track of all of that. So that's why I knew this information. And also I know about the solar pilot.
So when you saw that what was put in was really just IDA.
Correct.
Recognized there were other opportunities for increased revenue in the treasurer's budget?
In that line, correct. And then the next line, the title increase or the title search revenue. I actually had a discussion with Dave and he is supporting us. So thank you, Dave. In 2024, the state amended real property tax law, where we used to be able to only charge $150 per title search or legal services for a foreclosure property. They increased it to the greater of $250 or 2% of the total delinquent amount. So we are still only charging $150 for those title searches. So if we were to increase it to $250, in 2024, we had about $150 that we put that charge on. So this 10,000 is actually a fairly conservative amount to increase that line because that would be just 100 properties for the additional 100 charge. So
So none of this revenue that you just advised is currently in this book?
correct. So this is additional and on top of what's currently
What's the
in there.
total that you estimated?
So the total revenue of all the three categories is $51,408.
And you need 51,370 to cover the.
Correct. So there's an additional $38 in revenue, which I don't know what you guys would want to do. It's fund balance. It's not a lot.
Yeah, right.
But Jonathan, I think the key to mention is this is addition to what's already there. So this is found money.
Yeah, not an unrealistic.
Mr. Strong?
I have just a simple question. Is this going to increase the tax levy? Increase the fund balance draw?
No,
Anyway.
this is budget neutral. It actually will give you $38 extra revenue. Not that really does anything, but.
It was 53,000 extra.
If this plan goes through, Jenny, it is not the person that was targeted for layoff that will be going 0.6. It is the senior staff that was willing to do this.
The senior staff person, correct, said that they would be willing to go to a 0.6.
To keep as much of the department GIS stuff whole.
Correct, so that we can essentially continue to fulfill the mandated services that we are required to do.
So it's essentially a little reorganization within your staff.
It's possible because this individual is willing to do that. I have to say, if I just had a 0.6 and they weren't willing to do it, I don't know that I could
I think that's the key.
necessarily recruit somebody for that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the key. If this person wasn't willing to make, change their position and their hours and go from a full-time to 0.6, we could not interview for this position because there would be a learning curve and all the other stuff. So it'd be really difficult. So I think we're fortunate to be in this opportunity.
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we reduce the tax levy by the found money. Thank you.
The $38.
Whatever we found,
Huh?
reduce the tax levy.
Okay.
Let's do something positive for change.
Anyone else?
What's that divided by 80,000 people? Just joking. That's good though. All right.
All right, no other comments. The motion on the table is for all the account number previously listed and use the remainder to vote on tax levy. All right. Without further discussion, we'll vote on position. We'll do a roll call vote, so we're all clear on these. Let's avoid any confusion.
Ben Vitale,
Yes.
Tom Winslow,
Yes.
Bob Shay,
Yes.
Aileen McNabb Coleman,
Yes.
Hans Petrich,
No.
Mark Strong,
Yes.
Heidi Nightingale,
Yes.
Elaine Daly,
Yes.
Amy Sargent,
Yes.
Brian Muldrow,
Yes.
Jonathan Anna.
No.
Passed. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I got just one more, couple other things to address. Thank you. I just wanted to tell everybody as government this year as the government ops chair, it's been tough because obviously the budget, but one of the things I was tasked with is finding revenue. And fortunately, we had two areas that we make revenue, which would be our DMV tax that I found, as well as the motor vehicle tax and the fuel tax that we previously had. Because of the burden on the taxpayers, at government ops, I pulled the fuel tax and I left it open for discussion on the motor vehicle tax. And I'm not encouraging to go forward, but we have to look at every avenue of revenue and we just have to have that discussion to talk about where we can find pockets of money. None of those resolutions have been voted on currently and passed. The one vehicle tax, it was for the public to be heard. And I think the public has spoken very clearly.
On the 11th too, right?
On the 11th.
Bring on the 11th.
So we'll continue to talk about it. But as of right now, I don't believe I'll be supporting the resolution until a later date. After we see how much revenue we've generated with the tax increase and the budgets in the past. So I just wanted to say that because, like I said, I had to look for revenue and those are the two streams of revenues that we found. So I'll be looking at that possibly in 2026, maybe, and see how the budget pans out. So just wanted to address that.
Does anyone have any other resolutions or amendments? Marlboro, do you have any others?
I'm done.
No? All right, Mr. Strong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a decrease of line A71111-51002 in the amount of $12,000 for the Ag Museum part-time salaries. At the last Ways and Means budget hearing, we gave 30,000. I'd like to reduce it down to the requested amount from the director of the museum to 18,000. So that would increase line number A10164544000 in the amount of $12,000 to the contingency budget or line, excuse me.
We have a second on the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion on the motion at hand. I do recall, when Jim spoke, well. Not required 30. We got this from. Reference to. Any other discussion? Yes.
I would just like to say, I'm sure that Mr. Quill was in a position of trying to hang on to whatever he could. As I mentioned in the last meeting, pulling the rug out from underneath the museums without proper planning is unfair. So I think there are ways to look for revenue gaining opportunities within the museum. And I think that we should wait on this until next year and we can actually talk about those other things. I think this is pulling the rug out from underneath them and I do not support it.
I think that $12,000 in this particular budget is a drop for the county. but it is significant for this museum. Just an anecdotal experience is that when I left on Wednesday, last Wednesday, from our HHS meeting, a big coach pulled up and 34 residents from out of town came in the evening to explore our museum. And as I entered today, again, a group of folks who had been on a bus tour that included this museum was just finishing up their tour and leaving as we were coming in. I think there's probably some lack of recognition about the amount of tourism that this museum attracts as part of a package in tourism. And right now, tourism is really, I think, one of our strongest economic drivers in Cayuga County. So I think this $12,000 increase to the budget is a drop in the $198 million budget. But it's a tsunami for this museum.
Can I clarify my request? We requested 18, we were hoping, they were cutting 30. We were hoping to get enough to survive. If we cut back to the 18, we are still going to cut some hours, we're going to cut some services, and we don't know about festival of trees. It's important that we get the 30,000. When I said 18, we are looking at bare bones.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Vitale.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that, here we are sitting in the Ag Museum. They're paying for people to be here so that we can be here. They don't necessarily have to be open when we're here. I think we're going to be here for the next foreseeable year. So the $12,000 probably cover the cost of them keeping the doors open while we're here. So for cutting that $12,000 out of a nearly $200 million budget, it's kind of a slap in the face. And I don't think anybody deserves that. Furthermore, I think the discussion around the tables with the legislature over the years is that, not a lot of counties pay to have a museum. And if we want to get that burden off our books, that's fine. But there needs to be planning that's done. There needs to be cooperation, and we have to figure it out together. It's doesn't work by not saying anything all year and then the middle of November say, oh, by the way, we're just going to cut you. And you're going to have to operate without this money. Good luck. But yeah, we still want to use their facility. It's our facility. I know that. It's our facility. So let's take a little bit of responsibility here. The $12,000 will probably cover the cost for us being here. Thank you.
Anyone else on the board? But a while back, some other agency cuts were mentioned during some public comment. Those agencies don't have the opportunity to raise revenue. This is a great museum. Great that we have it here, and it's the museum, its staff itself, it's explained to us this is a destination that people come here, magazines feature it. But there's a value here, and I do think that we need to have the conversation, private, public partnership, along with potentially charging admission to the museum. It's $2 based on the numbers that were given. You would have met that $30,000 cut. So if nothing else, I'm glad we've started the conversation a little bit as well. And I've reached out to the board earlier this year, and I've spoken to some other legislators about this. But I do look forward to working with the museum in 26 and finding those public-private partnerships and finding ways to have the museum be self-sufficient. But that's right. Anybody else? All right, we're going to do a roll call vote again. Oh. We're on the table.
Could we please restate the resolution?
The resolution is to take 12,087,115,1002 and decrease it by 12,000 from 30 to 18, increasing the contingency fund by $12,000.
Okay, Ben Vitale,
No.
Tom Winslow,
Yes.
Bob Shay,
No.
David Bab Coleman,
No.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Mark Strong,
Yes.
Heidi Nightingale,
No.
Elaine Daly,
Yes.
Amy Sargent,
No.
Brian Muldrow.
No.
Is that a no?
No.
Jonathan Anna.
Yes.
Defeated.
Other business before the board. Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. Hooray. Forgot about this. All right, so anyone wishing to call in public hearing, 5-294-8051. 5-294-8051, please speak on the public hearing. Anyone here wishing to speak on the public hearing? All right, with that said, I'm gonna close the public hearing. this evening.
Hey, Ben is,
Yes.
Ben has a hand up.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah, I have one more amendment to bring forward. And it would be reducing the tax increase to 6.5%. That would increase the draw on the fund balance by $2,725,306. Numbers might be not exact, but I'm sure Lynn can figure that out. The total draw on the fund balance would be $3,344,877. The reason why I bring this is because I really feel strongly that when this legislature got in place, we had a fund balance draw of over $7 million. Last year, we reduced that down to 5.5 million. And from every indication I've gotten so far this year, we're only going to be drawing about 3.5 of that. So what our auditor said was a $14 million fund balance. Really, at the end of the year, will probably be approximately $16 million. So I believe it's completely safe to do a 3-3 draw on the fund balance. Again, during the year, we have to work on not using all of that fund balance. And next year, when we do the budget, we can maybe be drawing 1.5 million. And when we leave here, as this legislature of 4 years, we will have this county back to an operating budget that I used to be used to when I first got on the legislature, of a draw of about $500,000. And with a draw of $500,000, it's very easy to save money and to build the fund balance back up. The other reason for reducing the tax burden is that there is very little in this budget concerning the county office building. And at some point in time, we're going to have to do something. And that something's going to cost us a lot of money. And that's going to be a huge tax burden on the residents of Cayuga County. And depending on what we do, it'll probably be about a $3 million bond payment per year. If you break that down, that's about a 6.5% increase on top of what we're doing for operations. How much do you think the residents of this county can bear? Thank you. So I'd like to make the motion for the 6.5% increase in taxes.
A second.
Hold on. Go ahead.
I'd just like to give you the exact number. It's $2,903,000 $915 additional.
So the total draw would be what, Lynn?
$3,506,523.
Thank you. That's the number I want to go with that. Thank you, Lynn.
We have first and second.
Well, I'm not, I just, can I ask a question or
Just a
not?
discussion.
So what does that leave in the fund? You said it was three.
The total amount would be for the fund draw would be a total of, would you say 3.56?
That's the draw the fund balance. That's not what she's asking.
So if we end this year at 16 million, you'll have to subtract the 3 and we're at 13 million.
I'm just thinking about the
Yes.
fiscal rating you okay.
This year I started the budget off, we had a $5.6 million budget deficit last year. This year I started the budget off with $11.2 million budget deficit. That obviously includes the 5.6. Whoever does the budget next year will be looking at starting off already 3.4 in the hole.
Okay.
That's
It
if
really
we don't
puts us,
add.
you know, yeah, we're out of our fund balance policy now. And Lynn, you want to explain that?
Right. I mean, you know, I have to estimate what I think the year is going to end at, and I have no idea how much money social services is going to spend in the last 2 months of the year. And we don't have the sales tax figures in yet, as Grace was saying. So this is very hypothetical estimate that even if we end up with 16.5 million, the range we're supposed to be in per our policy is 26 million to 17 million. And if anything happens unexpected, as you were bringing up about the building, you know, we have some cut. Things certainly aren't all budgeted. You know, we had the mental health burden another year. We hope it doesn't happen. You know, we could get a lawsuit. We have to settle something. I mean, there's just a lot of unknowns. That's also what we use this fund balance for. It's not just for the operations that we know about when we put this budget book. So that's cautioning that I think the auditor was kind of alluding to, is that you need to have that safety in there to be able to draw on those funds, the unknown things that could happen at any time.
You remember what the auditor said? He said you better get it straightened out within 3 years.
Does that, then that fiscal rating would impact how much it costs when we put them to, right? Our interest rate, okay.
Yes, they don't think our fund balance is significant. They're going to charge us more interest because we're a higher risk.
Fiscal advisors also said that, you know, the budget we proposed, with the tax increase we proposed and bringing the fund balance down would reflect positively. It shows we have desire to fix problems, raise revenues. We have to, you know, I do agree that $500,000 is what we should be a budget balance, and that's what we attempted to do this year, was come up with a budget that was balanced, set us on the fiscal course. You know, there's no easy answer here per se, but we have continued to kick cans down the road. And I don't agree with everything that was said, but the county office building is going to cost us money. No one's talked about how we're going to pay for it. And get our fiscal house in order, you know, moving forward, it could cost Cayuga County more dollars. You know, we can ban, but when we go to bonding, our financial fiscal score is not back down, which right now, if you recall, it went from 0 in 2022 all the way up to 22 in 2020. That does not include the 2025 numbers that include the fiscal deficit we had this year. So I anticipate that number going up for 25. And this budget does, you know, put a halt to that. It puts us back on pace. I know this is ripping it off, but sometimes that's what needs to happen. Mr. Mayor.
My fear is that, we're here a year from now and we're raising another 6%. That's my fear.
And laying off employees.
And laying off more people, and also, you know, the tolerance of I think it's ripping the Band-Aid off, and I think we have to do it, unfortunately, but you know, we're gonna be in the same situation next year. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, we're trying to avoid.
If we drop it to 6%.
To really work, to not continue kicking in the road and address issues and put us in a position to have success.
There's been a lot of work and people losing personnel in their departments. A lot of public has spoken about what they agree with and what they don't agree with, and I just think it's time for us to, as a county, just make a hard decision that's unpopular.
Anybody else?
We have a motion and
We have a motion and a second. We'll have a vote here.
I do.
Let's start right now.
I'd like to reiterate something that I talked about before, and that is that 60% of our taxpayers, our homeowners and taxpayers are people who are 60 and older, who are elderly. A couple of people have already talked about their fixed incomes. And while we think that, you know, this is an insignificant amount monthly, burden to our taxpayers. That's not an insignificant amount to the people who live in my district, people who I see every day and drive by homes and homes of elders who are in a situation where they're not even able to afford the upkeep of their home in order to stay in place safely. I think that there's the opportunity as these 3 years go by that was advised by the auditor to have softer landings. I think at 12.5% it's not a soft landing for our taxpayers right now. But we can work towards softer landings in year 2 and year 3 and still get to a place of a healthy fund balance.
I guess I'd like to say that from my point of view, I don't think any of us here thinks a 12.5% increase is insignificant. In fact, I look back in the budget book and it was more than 15 years ago when there was a 20%, and this is not insignificant, but we spent the whole last 3 years talking about we cannot continue to balance our operating budget using our fund balance. At one point, I think Ben asked the treasurer, can you pay the bills? This is the reason that we're looking at trying to get this right. Can't turn back the clock and raise taxes that we didn't raise. But, if we continue on this path, then with this, even at ending the year with 16.5 million in fund balance, and we take another 3, we're down to 13 million again. And then where do we go from here? We're already looking at how do we change the course for next year? And I know we're talking about health insurance changes for 27 as a way to kind of get things going in terms of reducing our expenditures. But, I just want to say, Heidi, I don't think any of us think 12.5 is insignificant. I certainly don't.
We've been saying this, I don't know, I don't know where to start with this. At the end of last year, when we had our budget, we faced layoffs for the first time in decades. And for some reason, I feel like there was a point of time where we were all gathered in this room and we heard from our staff. And then we moved on to 26 and we had some sort of amnesia. There was no tightening the belt in this past year. And I don't want to go backwards and talk about it too much, but I need to point that out. And you heard us say this, a few of us said it throughout the year. This appears to be business as usual. We didn't do any of the work to tighten our belts. And so now we're going to put it on the taxpayers. I think across the board cuts, like symbolic cuts, or I don't know what you call it, to me is nonsensical. I think that we need to really take a deep dive and do some restructuring. And I know that during a couple years, we had a 2-year period where the operating expenses, for instance, of the sheriff's department went up $4.5 million. That was significant. That was necessary. But that means we have to go back and restructure and see what are some things practically that we need to start to live without. And we need to systematically plan and do some sort of a progression and a transition. We haven't done any of that. Instead, we've sort of sat on our hands and now we're just faced with big decisions. And you can't talk about bravery or not being brave or cowardly or anything. We just I think to me, we neglected our duties in the past year. I think I second the motion because I do feel like, again, very similar to the situation with the museum, we're pulling the rug out from underneath people. We are throwing this high tax rate on them without a soft landing, and I like that you said that, because I think it's very abrupt, and I think it's extreme. I think that if we went forward with a 6.5%, we can systematically plan, starting January 2nd, about what are we gonna do with our expenditures? Where are we gonna tighten our belts? And it may involve additional fees. It may involve other creative ways of thinking. I'm just saying, we never really got in the room as a whole group to say, let's break this down. And I don't mean just us either, with our staff and say, let's break this down. What are the creative ways we can go about this? We just didn't do that. We need to look forward to 26 and do that. Again, I think this is abrupt. I think it's extreme. I think you've all been convinced we have to do it. I heard the auditors, when they came, they didn't say you're falling off a cliff. I never sat in this room and really got talked to say, you're heading off a cliff. You need to do A, B, C, and D. It's something that it's like, oh, that's what all the talk behind the scenes. Well, I wasn't behind those scenes for those conversations. I think we need to look for a softer landing, to use that again. I think that's the right thing to do. And I think we have a lot of work to do in front of us in the years upcoming.
Well, I disagree with some of what you said. Overall, last year's budget, started with a $6.5 million deficit. The budget you delivered, and then the board took another 900,000 out of it to get down to 5.6. This year we started the year with a $5.6 million budgeted deficit, and as been acknowledged earlier, we were able to trim that down to where we spent about $3 million of it. So I think that's progress, but that progress was temporary because it came in the form of holding positions, which are not being filled within this budget, which means temporary changes now becoming permanent for this budget. So I do think there's been steps. The DSS positions were cut because the department did reorganize and work with with our offices and with the legislative body. So I do disagree. I'm not saying most of it. And I do agree in the fact that we have all work cut out for me is to continue to do what we started, continue to improve efficiencies, continue to reorganize, continue to do the work that we see. I guess on several of those points. Mr. Mulder.
Mr. Chair, I also disagree. I have sat through three chairs and three different bodies, and this is the most transparent I've ever seen. We've had several special ledger meetings to discuss these topics. It is it's a point where we don't want to disappoint our constituents. I feel I live in a district that is impoverished as well, and I live in that district, and I've lived in that district all my life, and I see this increase hurting their families. And I see cutting social services. Many of my constituents rely on social services. I see departments being cut and services being cut back. And I get the calls that, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of my social worker, knowing that they're swamped. I feel that because I lived in that. I live in that. I live in the west end of town. I live that. So what can't happen is we continue to do the same thing over and over again. And we have to raise the taxes to stay afloat. We do not want the state coming in. I don't know what the next level is or following the state, just us going bankrupt. That's what the point we're at. And it makes everybody feel good, and everybody will applaud if we drop it to 6%, including my constituents. They can essentially vote me out of office for raising to 12.5. My constituents are going to be upset that I agreed to raise the 12.5 because they'll be the most effective. They're going to be upset that I voted to quote cut some of the social services. But we're not in a position because of this year. This year, we had more oversight than we ever had before. We're in this position for historic bad decisions over and over again and trying to appease our constituents. That's why we're here today. And before that, before all this, another thing is we don't have a county executive or a county manager.
Here.
We don't have a county executive or county manager. I walked, when my first year, and some people joke about it, and I'm gonna go a little longer on this one, okay? Because we didn't.
Long as we wrap it up by 6:30, so we do need to wrap it up.
I gotta wrap it up too, but I want to tell you, I'm gonna tell you, when I walked to the county building, the first month I was elected. And people are telling me about the conditions. Of course, they're not as bad as they were now. And all I could see was that carpet. I don't know if it was in social services or it was in accounting, but I could not stop staring at the carpet because I was like, you're talking about the windows, you're talking about that, but this carpet's been walked on for about the beginning of time. And I started thinking, if you had these guys come up here every day and they're talking about their budget. But and I know we did have a manager of the building, but nobody's talking about having oversight of the entire county. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. We're all part-time and we're putting in full-time work. You can make everybody happy, but I guarantee you we'll be back next year with the same situation, if not worse. And Jonathan's only been a chair for 1 year. And look at how many, I want you to go back through all the agendas on the website. Look at how many special ed meetings we had in public. We've heard every department head was up here selling their idea of saving their department and structuring how they were gonna stay in existence. So we can make everybody happy and be back next year. Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to reiterate them from our auditors. The cliff was when they advised us to stop taking out a fund balance. I believe that was the edge of the cliff there. And, we don't take this budget lightly. It's not insignificant. That's not a word that I've ever heard any of us use in the entire year. And if you remember, we tightened the belt by infirming a hiring freeze. That was our way of implying that we could really need to tighten up on our budgetary obligations. To your credit, being transparent, as Legislator Muldrow said, I totally agree. But we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, some of us on the legislature up here know that, there's difficulties coming before us. And if we continue to ignore this problem, we're going to be faced with the same thing next year with more layoffs and more cuts. And let's just stop it. Let's just take responsibility, make the hard choices, and deal with it. Because next year's challenges are coming. We know they're coming. We've talked about them. So let's deal with them straight on from now on, as you have, to your credit. And, deal with the budget so that when we leave office, we're in a much better position. Thank you.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Hey,
Let me remind everybody what the.
Can you restate
Yes,
that?
it's okay, yep. The motion on the table is to, I'm gonna get my front page here. You have the map, it's to withdraw 2.903915. Fund balance to reduce the tax levy, bringing the total draw from the fund balance to 3.506523.
Ben Vitale,
Yes.
Don Wenzel,
No.
Bob Shay,
No.
Ely McDabb Coleman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
No.
Mark Strong,
No.
Heidi Nightingale,
Yeah.
No,
Elaine Daly,
that's me, no.
thank you. Amy Sargent,
No.
Brian Muldrow,
No.
and Jonathan Anna.
No,
Defeated.
any other business or?
For vote on the budget?
The motion? You like to make the motion
Yeah.
for Leg 6?
I'd like to make a motion to vote on the 26 budget.
Motion for Ledge 6.
I'll second it.
Budget, we have a second discussion on Ledge 6.
I'm sorry.
Actual budget vote.
So is this what we were gonna
Everything.
place Thursday?
Right, everything that
We can do it either night.
presented
Yeah.
and applied today.
Okay. Trying to keep it.
All right, we'll have discussion, roll call vote, please, on the budget.
Close the public hearing.
We did, I closed it earlier.
Ben Vitale,
No.
Tom Wenzel,
Yes.
Bob Shay,
Yes.
Aileen McDabb Coleman,
Absolutely not.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Mark Strong,
Yes.
Heidi Nightingale,
No.
Yes. Yep.
Amy Sargent,
Yes.
Brian Monroe, Jonathan Anna.
Yes.
Pass.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
So do we still meet Thursday?
Meeting, got it, the public hearing.
Because the motor vehicle thing was pulled and then the budget part is done.
We just passed the 26 budget. And we